Hello, I am Jake Collins, and this is the third in a short series of commentaries that I am doing on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And here we are with Wizard of Stone Mountain. The interesting thing about this episode is that it kicks off a kind of trilogy in the show, or at least a series of 3 episodes that aren't very closely related to each other but do follow on from each other. After this episode, we get the reappearance of the Wizard of Stone Mountain, Malik, in the episode The Witch and the Warrior, and that, of course, leads on to another episode, Revenge is Never Sweet, both of which are quite good and interesting episodes, but neither of which I'm going to be commentating on. But I'm commentating on Wizard of Stone Mountain because there are a few things and general points that I want to say about it, and so I'm going to. We begin at Stone Mountain with Malik, who isn't a character you'll probably like or approve of until the end of this episode, but he does come through in the end with a lot of help from his friends. We're introduced to the whole thing here about how he's been pining for Teela for the longest time. And as we find out, he's a bit of a weak-willed character at the moment because this overwhelming desire for Teela causes him to create quite a lot of trouble in this episode with extreme carelessness. I've said elsewhere on my YouTube channel in a commentary for the Mummy the Animated Series how heroes get tested by evil, tempted by evil, and defy it, overcome it with their heroism. He-Man himself does it, of course, in the episode called The Search, rather pleasingly. And Malik very much does the opposite of that here. If he's ever going to be a hero, well, he certainly isn't yet. And here's his assistant, Kareen, who is madly in love with Malik for some reason, and it seems that the more he abuses her verbally and emotionally, not physically, the more she loves him. She obviously sees his hidden depths at least 20 minutes before the rest of us do. And here's Locus, this demon, devil. He is the servant of, as we discover later, evil itself, which is quite an interesting concept that we'll come back to when we see evil itself. But here we really do see how Malik is quite weak-willed at the moment. He agrees to this bargain where Locus says, Teela will be yours. Will you pay any price? And Malik says, oh, yes, I will. Well, let's shake on it then. And they do. And that seals the bargain. Not only has Malik given in to temptation straight away with no discussion whatsoever, he doesn't even know the price he's agreed to pay. But we're all going to know the price he's agreed to pay pretty soon. So there's an important lesson, isn't there? Getting into a situation like this in over your head without even discovering the full facts, reading the small print, can cause terrible trouble. I mean, I'd have a bit more sympathy for Malik if he'd been tricked into thinking the price he was going to pay wasn't going to be so much, so bad, if he knew what he was actually getting into, rather than just giving Locus carte blanche to do whatever he wants in the name of this bargain that they've made. And Kareen knows that already, as you can tell from that scene. And here we are in Eternos with a brief appearance from Man-at-Arms and Orko, who don't make it into the main body of the episode. But of course we've already been introduced to the link between Teela and Malik, and that's going to be making its way into this scene pretty soon. Quite a pointless throwaway scene here with Orko being mischievous and Man-at-Arms being a bit gruff. The sort of thing you see at the beginning of a lot of episodes, and then they'll develop Man-at-Arms and Orko and their interactions further in the episode itself. But no, bit of a wasted opportunity here with these two. We don't see any more of them today, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go, there's plenty of them elsewhere as a pair and individuals in the series. Oh yes, here we go, Adam's combat lesson. And this is where eventually Adam and Teela are going to get involved in the plot. Teela's trying to make Adam's combat lessons a bit more fun with a bit of role play. Adam's not really buying into it. I guess it's quite a nice establishing scene or reminding scene about their relationship, which in some ways is quite siblingy and in some ways is quite, they're obviously going to be a couple-y. But fans seem to like it for all that, and indeed I don't say they're wrong to do so. And there's Ram Man, of course, who joins in with the action in this episode, and that's a good thing. He's rather amusing, Ram Man, sometimes put to good use. John Erwin always makes him rather endearing, makes it so we're not laughing at him too much when he's being a bit slow and stupid, but rather just enjoying his presence on the screen. And here we go. We're reminded of how dangerous Malik's bargain is, because here's Locus in the form of this farmer coming to say, oh, Malik's gone evil, come to Stone Mountain and help Captain Teela. And as long as Locus does this, gets Teela for Malik in some way, the terms of their bargain are fulfilled, and Malik can make no objection or try to stop Locus from doing whatever evil he wants in the name of that bargain. And indeed that's exactly what's going to happen. Plenty of evil that's going to need to be overcome in a very special way. And of course he's making Teela feel guilty there, or trying to. Malik destroyed our dam and has ruined our lives out of loneliness for you. I mean, that's not Teela's fault, is it? But you can see from her reaction there, she obviously does feel some responsibility for the whole situation. At least in as much as she's going to have to go to Malik and say, pull yourself together, Malik. Nice inclusion of Cringer in this scene with Adam and Ram Man here. I didn't say on my previous two commentaries, but Cringer didn't feature really very much in those two episodes, like Father Like Daughter and Creature from the Tar Swamp. How Cringer is a very good character. Another excellent performance by Alan Oppenheimer. And he's a lot more interesting when he is Cringer than when he's Battle Cat. They do a lot of fun things with him. Fussy things, pernickety things, funny things, that just make him very fun to watch and good to laugh along to. So it's good to include plenty of Cringer. And he does turn into Battle Cat for the main part of this episode, which certainly would have pleased me when I was young, but really Battle Cat doesn't play a part in the action, and it could have got along just as well without him. But there we go, the full transformation sequence, He-Man and Battle Cat. As I've said before, I used to feel cheated if I hadn't seen that in an episode. So there we go, I have seen it now. And I love the way here that He-Man takes the opportunity to tease Teela again. Malik, you mean your old boyfriend? Of course, he's already teased her once about that as Adam, and now he comes leaping in on Battle Cat. I hear you're looking for me, what's up? Teela explains. Oh, Malik's causing some trouble, and He-Man's immediately in there with, oh, Malik, your old boyfriend. Don't you start, says Teela. And I really like that because it reinforces that relationship between Adam and Teela. Adam enjoys getting a rise out of Teela in that way, teasing her slightly about her old acquaintance, and he's using his double identity there to tease her twice at every given opportunity, which is rather fun. And it's a rather fun way for Adam to use his double identity, and it does underline the fact that I was mentioning on another commentary, that Adam and He-Man are very much emotionally the same character as they should be. And it's great that He-Man's goodness and heroism all comes from Adam himself, and that's Adam's true nature. But it's also great how if He-Man does something like that to tease Teela, that's Adam's more mischievous side from back home at the palace with his family life coming through in both parts of the character. So I really, really like that. This is a memorable scene with the Shrieker bird, and of course we've seen that before. In the previous episode I did a commentary on Creatures from the Tar Swamp, and Skeletor very clearly said in that episode how the Dracodon and the Shriekers were extinct animals, dinosaurs if you will. The primeval potion was bringing back ancient creatures that had perished in this swamp. So that says to me, Shriekers, as well as the Dracodon, which we don't see again, but we do see Shriekers again, including now, are extinct. So they don't exist in Eternia's current timeline. And that's why it's good here that they've gone to the effort of bringing the bones to life to create this Shrieker appearance. Locus has reanimated the bones and turned them into this Shrieker. It's obviously some sort of fossil that Malik had hanging around in his wizard's workshop. Okay, we'll buy that. That's fine. Someone's said, let's put a Shrieker in again, and remembered, they are extinct, so we have to find some way to bring it back to life in order to use it. And I really do appreciate that, because it makes sense. It makes in-universe sense. But then you see what slightly annoys me when I watch He-Man through is that Shrieker birds do appear a few more times in the series, and they stop bothering the writers to think of ways to bring them back to life from the ancient past. They just kind of exist extant on Eternia, it seems, in future, which doesn't make in-universe sense and annoys me, as I say. There's the bit where Orko goes, whoops, I've fallen into a Shrieker nest. I mean, there shouldn't have been Shrieker nests on Eternia for centuries, but apparently there are. So there we go, as I say, nice to see them make the effort here, but if they wanted to use it again after this, they should have made the effort again, and they didn't. That's what the Shriekers always make me think about, that little bit of annoyance. Which seemed to have been forestalled here, but actually no, they kept bringing them back and not bothering to think of other ways to bring back ancient life forms. And there we see it. Kareen says, from bones you came, to bones you return, and it's back to a fossil. So it all makes perfect sense. Thinking again about Adam and He-Man and how I sometimes think and say, well, they're often thought of and talked about and talked to too much as two different characters, and I think that's a bit of a shame. I think one of the things about the newer series, the 2002 series, is that there is more difference between them as characters, as I've said before. So I was saying just now, all the goodness, all the heroism that is He-Man actually comes directly from Adam, whereas in the newer He-Man I do feel that it transforms Adam more mentally as well as physically, being He-Man. You wouldn't get Adam in the new one standing around and saying some of the things that He-Man does say, you are masters of the universe all, and that sort of thing. It seems to change him emotionally and mentally as well as physically, whereas in this older version, anything He-Man says is just Adam saying it as He-Man, and obviously he tries to and succeeds to disguise his true nature from a lot of people, particularly Teela, play the part of the fun-loving prince. But you can see at times, and even Teela sees at times, the true nature of Adam, the He-Man, if you will, coming out in Adam, such as in the unicorn hunting episode, where Adam gives the right telling off to the unicorn hunting guy, very much as He-Man would, and Teela's quite pleasantly surprised. What, you sure told him, Adam? And I don't think, as I say, Adam in the newer series would do that kind of impassioned heroic speech without being He-Man first, if you see what I mean. So there we go, a bit of an emotional difference, I think, in the new one, but not in the old one. And as I was saying, you can see good examples of that aspect of the show in this episode. And here, of course, Malik was happy and content for a moment. Oh, well, it was all worth it, all the evil, all the ruined crops. Because, Teela's here and I'm going to force her to fall in love with me. He's still pretty clueless. And it all comes crashing down when Locust says, you've run out of time, now I'm going to take my payment, your soul. And of course, Malik can't object to this in any way. No time frame was specified, the price wasn't specified. Malik has implicitly agreed to all this. What an idiot. And, well, he learns his lesson at the end, thankfully, because he's going to be saved by the power of love. Karin's love, despite the fact that he was being so horrible to her earlier. I always thought it was a bit of a shame that Karin doesn't reappear in The Witch and the Warrior when Malik reappears. Malik's gone off to guard the fountain of whatever it is, the magic fountain. I'm taking some time away from Stone Mountain, he says. But I think, you should have brought Karin, your assistant / significant other now. But obviously she's staying at home at Stone Mountain, house sitting, making bread for when he gets back. But a bit of a missed opportunity, I thought, to see them there together again. And here we have, as I was saying earlier, evil itself, and this concept could have come across as a bit silly. But I think the fire animation works quite well. I'm resisting the urge to call it evil incarnate, because it's not really incarnated. It's in this fire form coming out of the fireplace. I think that works quite well visually. It's quite a nice piece of animation, especially by Filmation standards. And yeah, that works pretty well. And, they've got to find the right voice for it, or it could sound very silly, rather underwhelming. And I think John Irwin succeeds in finding the right voice for it. Quite threatening. Evokes the right kind of feelings of what evil might sound like, I think. It's pretty good. And I like some of the themes here. It's pretty silly at first when He-Man and Ram Man and Battle Cat think, I'm going to attack evil by throwing the sword at it, or ramming it, or clawing it. No, you can't attack evil like that. But I do like the bit where it's revealed that He-Man is as strong as evil itself. Evil cannot hurt him. His goodness is equal to my own power. I like that. He seems very powerful and impressive, does evil, but actually all it takes is purity and goodness to stop him. And that is in Adam, He-Man. And, of course, in Karin, where she tricks evil itself here by offering her soul for Malik's. And I always rather liked that, because, of course, that stinks of the one power, as evil itself says here, that I cannot overcome. And as He-Man knows, that's the power of love. Real love, this time, Teela points out. Well, it seems that these two, Malik and Karin, are a couple now, and Malik's darn lucky that she loves him and is prepared to sacrifice herself for him, although, of course, she doesn't have to in the end. And he's learned his lesson and come through a better wizard and a better person, but really, it's a lot more than he deserves. But there we go, that's love for you. So that's quite a nice theme to bring up, I think. Love being the strongest force, overcoming evil. Love cancels all curses and breaks all spells. So some thought-provoking times there with evil itself. And well worth including in this episode. Pretty interesting. And that's the episode over, really, pretty much. Of course, He-Man and Malik working together at the end there to mend the dam. Shows that Malik's come through and he's contrite now and he's learned his lesson, and Teela's like, well, that's okay then. and now you've got your real love and can live happily ever after. But she still has to stay home and keep house for him while he's out doing important things, guarding important fountains. But I guess she doesn't mind that. It's part of the emotional abuse from Malik that Corinne enjoys so much. And quite a nice little amusing ending there, where Teela's like, well, I'm going to go off now with someone I've been working with who I have rather fallen in love with. And He-Man's like, oh yeah, of course, that's me, isn't it? But no, it's Ram Man. And John Owen being amusing and endearing as Ram Man there. When you got it, you got it. I mean, that's quite a nice, little, amusing, harmless ending. It'll just make you chuckle after all that serious stuff about love and evil and so on. So yeah, a good end to the episode there. And Teela spells out for us in the moral there how stupid Malik was to agree to this bargain, giving Locust carte blanche to do whatever he wanted in return for bringing Teela along. I think we've all learned our lesson now, just as Malik has. Thank you for joining me for this commentary. Hopefully you'll join me again next time for a commentary on The Rainbow Warrior.